Welcome back to my A through Z playthrough for Heroes of the Storm. Fond memories. You know, you get back to a character that you have a very long history with, and it just brings back so many memories. For a long time, Uther was one of my mains. Since I first started playing this game back in the days of the beta, Uther was the first support I played regularly. And he was the first support I ever got a master skin for, back when that was a thing. During the preseason of ranked play, he was the one who took up this spot here for the most wins I had during the preseason. So, yeah, that was the thing, because I played Uther a lot. Whenever they asked me to play healer, I would play Uther. He was a very good all-around character back then, back in the day. He could do a lot of things really well. In fact, believe it or not, there was a time where his trait was much stronger than it is now. So, these days, when Uther dies, he becomes a spirit, and he's able to kind of spam heal his teammates. But that's all he can really do. But I remember a time when his spirit form would let him attack, would let him use his other abilities. In fact, you could even use his ult after he died. This was a thing back then, and it was really good. I distinctly remember a game a long time ago where we were pushing for the core to win the game. I died. I had my Divine Storm ult, the level 20 upgrade, ready to go. And you know what happened? After I died, my teammates were struggling to finish off the core. I walked to the core, and in my spirit form, I used my ult, my level 20 upgrade version of Divine Storm, and you know what it did? It finished the core and won the game for my team. This was a thing you could do back in the day. And then they changed Uther. And they changed it where you could no longer even basic attack. All you could do was use your Q to heal. And it broke my heart. I thought it was a huge nerf. It made Uther not nearly as fun or interesting to play. And he just kind of fell off the face of the earth for a while. And when it came to healers, partly because they started introducing other healers that just were better at the game. Now, keep in mind, this was during a time where there was not nearly as much burst damage in the game as there was. His healing back then was really good, really strong, really stable. But then they started introducing all these other really strong burst damage characters in the game, and Uther's healing really started to look less and less favorable as the game went on. And then they started introducing other healers into the game, such as Ariel, who could be able to get energy off of damage dealers and just kind of spam heal. Brightwing just kept constantly going back and forth, depending on who was strong, like Illidan, with her healing as well as her poly. Lily, I don't think she ever dethroned, but then Rhaegar came into the game, and all of a sudden you had this huge ancestral healing along with a support that could be very aggressive. Malfurion was always a really strong stable, and when it came to healers, and you know, I went back and forth between Uther and Malfurion, but then Malfurion got his change where he just dominated the support scene in the game, and Uther sadly fell off, except for one particular type of build which people would gravitate towards, and it was called the piano build Uther, where you would pick up things like Cleanse, Protective Shield, Benediction, and they would all go on the 1, 2, 3, 4 keys, and so you would just kind of press these, hence why it was called Piano Uther. And this was his dominant build for a long time, but he really wasn't considered top-notch support even after that anymore. And you had other healers coming in as well, such as Stukov, Alexstrasza, Deckard Cain, Lucio, Morales, and just all these other healers were just getting so much more attention and playing time and regarded as better than Uther. And it was sad for someone like myself who played Uther a lot back then, with his combination of heals plus stuns and damage that he could be able to bring to a team. Now, he did receive a rework, I believe, within the past year or so, where he's gone back and forth. Some people still like him, some people don't like him that much because, of course, his biggest drawback has been his cooldowns. 12-second cooldowns on your two primary heals is a huge detriment to your team, especially when there is so much burst damage from all these characters in the game, where he's not going to be able to out-heal these damage dealers, or a lot of these damage dealers, in the current state of the game. They tried to help this by adding to his trait where whenever he does a heal, they get armor with that healing. But really, these strong damage dealers are just going to still work their way through that armor regardless. So, sadly, Uther has gone through some struggles these days where he's just not very highly coveted. You know, compared to other healers in the game that can be able to kind of try and keep up with some of the other damage dealers in the game these days. Like, Deckard Cain is really strong right now with him being able to just constantly throw out potions for people to heal. And he doesn't have to, you know, he has a trait where it makes the cooldown for that even shorter. And he doesn't have to wait 12 seconds. And I feel like because of these cooldowns, it's a huge... it really hurts Uther's viability as a support in the game right now, which is really sad. Now, they do have talents here to help with some of these things, such as Silver Touch, being able to reduce the not the cooldown, but the mana cost, as well as increase the range. But really, he's unfortunately, when you look at the current state of the game right now, Uther has really fallen back on hard times. So let's take a look at him today. I love this skin, by the way, where he's wielding Ragnaros' Sulfuron hammer. The lord that, when Ragnaros went down, Uther decided to take it for himself. I've always enjoyed the Paladin playstyle. I guess that that he was this really good blend of the Paladin with the heals, the damage, and even the tankiness. So I see a lot of pro players, whenever they do pick Uther, they would take Wave of Light. And I don't know, to me it just didn't... I mean, obviously there are other players that are better skill shots with this than I am. But what I always thought was that this, for me, was the better choice, because this also applies to when you are in your spirit form, because it increases the range of that. Plus, being able to reduce the mana cost for your primary heal is a big deal when it initially costs right now 90 mana. So I'm going to go with Silver Touch. Alright, let's go down here. Good opportunities here to try and pull this off. Let me go here. Heal Sylvanas. Heal our Tychus. Is he gonna get away? Heal the Urel there. Now, I think I mentioned this in the Tyrande video. They actually took the function where it used to be Tyrande, whenever she healed an ally, she would heal herself. Well, they decided that would kind of make more sense on a character such as Uther. So they pretty much just removed that function from Tyrande and switched it over to Uther. Pretty much.
I'm low on mana.
Yep, of course you are. This, of course, is another thing. It's not just the cooldown, it's also the mana cost. 70 mana here, 90 mana here for his main heal abilities. It's pretty rough. It's pretty difficult, at least early on in the game. Once you're able to complete some of these quests to try and get mana back or reduce the cooldown, it can become easier in that regard.
No one messes with the devil.
Sylvanas there. But, of course, as you can see, I have no mana to cast any of these abilities right now. So, I'm pretty useless to my team. So, I have to get out of there and get some mana. Oh, why does it do that? I didn't click for him to go there, so why did he just go there on his own? Alright. So there's a couple different talents I like here. I like Holy Shock, where you can be able to add a ranged, damage ability, where if it's used to do damage to an enemy, Uther then receives its health healing benefits, and its cooldown is reduced by 6 seconds, and it refunds 45 mana. And, I thought it was that if you did that, it would then be able to increase the healing next time you did, but I guess not. But we're on Haunted Mines, where we're going to have to go down and do the objective. So we're going to take Holy Fire to get some AoE damage added on here. See if I can get this Hanzo here. And if you do basic attacks on the heroes, it actually stacks up the damage even more. And this is also good for adding to his wave clear.
Why not?
Now, if you're wanting to go with a stun build, Hammer of the Lightbringer can do that a pretty good job, because not only does it help restore your mana, but it also reduces the cooldown of Hammer of Justice, which is a point and click stun. A little different than a skill shot heal like with Muradin, because it just drops a hammer on the opponent. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay, bad idea. This was a bad idea. I saw the hammer rooted there, and I just thought, I just couldn't resist. I saw a hammer get rooted there, and I thought, oh, can I do anything against that? But I need to remind myself, I'm Uther. I am not a damage dealer. Though I find it hilarious that right now the enemy team is getting killed by the golem there. Look at that! It just killed. It just killed the hammer. Alright, so here at level 7 is pretty much the tier where you can decide how you want to handle crowd control. You can either have his heal recharge 200% faster for 6 seconds if Uther gets stunned, rooted, or silenced. You can have it where the healing that you give to an ally when they are stunned, rooted, or silenced has their armor increased. Or you can take Cleanse, but he has a unique cleanse called Hand of Protection. 90-second cooldown, and his basic attacks reduce it by 5 seconds. So, you look at their team. They have Decker Kane, Artanis, Hanzo, Hammer, Kel'Thuzad, lots of roots, lots of slows.
Right.
Well, hold on. Let's go help with this right now.
Rise, golems, rise and let loose your wrath.
All right.
Retreat.
I think a lot of players tend to take Guardian of the Ancient Kings because they really value that armor where it goes up to 50 armor. I'm leaning towards either Armor of Faith or Hand of Protection here. Let's go with Armor of Faith.
Hold on.
See if that can help get us some more healing output.
Very wise. The light is with us.
And now at level 10 we have either Divine Shield to make somebody invulnerable, which I can use either on an allied hero. Can I use it? Yeah, I can still use this on Uther. Or I can go with a massive AoE stun, like Divine Storm. I think I'm going to go with Divine Shield. If we were going with a big stun build, I would go with Divine Storm, which you can do. Woo. Stun that Deckard Cain. Alright, so yeah, obviously that didn't work out so well for me. But as you can see, I can just stand here and just kind of spam my Q heal on Urel. Which, as I said, once I finish this, it'll increase the range. We're halfway there. So since we did reduce damage 40 times, the mana cost is now reduced to 70 mana. We gotta do it 40 more times, and it will reduce it to 50 and increase the range by 50%. Which, of course, to make it where now casting 40 less mana every time you use your Q is a big deal. Since that's like the primary use, primary heal that you have there. This is getting bad. Use that Divine Shield, trying to keep our Tychus teammate alive.
Are you prepared to fight the undead?
Ah. Ah. Kind of upset that he got away like that.
The light is with us.
Oh, I'm sorry, she. Since Hammer is a lady.
Heroes, the damned
What are you doing, Deckard Cain?
I am the hammer of justice.
Oh, look at you. Oh. I'm very surprised I'm alive. Alright.
Must retreat.
Level 13. After using Holy Light, basic attacks heal him and nearby allies. Let's go with that.
I like it.
I also like Well Met there, where it reduces movement speed and damage for a few seconds. Alright.
Hold the line. I will be back.
Wow. Oh, playing against Sergeant Hammer is so fun. Oh. Alright, so now we're up to 73 out of 80.
I like it.
And keep in mind, this is the range on my Q right now.
I am the hammer of justice.
Oh, it finished off Kel'Thuzad. Nice.
Sound decision.
Sergeant Hammer.
This is the end.
I just need one more damage reduction there. There we go. I got it.
Mana is low.
Alright, so now, this is the range on it. And that applies when you die and go into spirit form.
I'm going to pull back for now.
Alright, so now we're going to take Beacon of Light, where while we are below 50% health, Uther receives 200% more self-healing when he heals others with Holy Light.
I can use this. For the light. We should capture this mercenary camp.
Try and see if I can get them to go away. Silly teammates, get out of there.
I like it.
They flee before us.
For the silver hand. I am the
By the way, I don't know if you noticed, but I've been using the Arthas announcer with Uther here. Because, of course, those two have quite an interesting history, don't they?
That's the way.
Ah! Boom. Boom.
The damned shall soon return.
Alright.
We should capture this mercenary.
Yeah, team, they're like, let's win the game! No, no.
Very wise.
We have to keep this going till we hit level 20.
Dead and claim their skulls, heroes.
Light curse you. We will not be stopped. Honor guides me.
I'll just keep on attacking this. Come on, Artanis doesn't know what to do. Catapult's already in the bottom lane.
The light is with us.
So now this costs only 50 mana. This does still cost 70 mana, though obviously if I had gone with a W build starting at level 1, it'd probably be different. I don't think I've ever really tried a W build with Uther, because as I've told you guys before, I'm not really a good skill shot, and this is a skill shot heal. I'd much rather prefer this surefire Q heal, where I can be able to just pick a ally and it burst heals them, without me having to try a skill shot and try to land my constantly moving teammate. You know what I mean? They can make it harder for you to try and heal them with your W. Alright.
My golems, and unleash your boundless anger.
Let's grab the top camp to push with our golem. Nice amount of healing there to Urel.
Enemies of the light, beware.
So as you can see with the Q heal, the issue with Uther isn't the amount of healing he does, because just the one Q can do a lot of boom burst healing there. The problem is how often he can do it. Alright, level 20, we're now going to go with the only talent anyone ever takes with Uther, pretty much, and that is Redemption. Alright. We just wiped the enemy team. I am invulnerable. Ah. Remembering better days. So, I mean, I think you can see both the strengths and the weaknesses of Uther in his current iteration and state. But just imagine much more coordinated burst damage assassins with players where they focus down really hard and your abilities are on cooldown. It makes him very... let me rephrase that. It makes it very difficult for Uther to keep up with that kind of damage. Coordinated damage, especially. The build I went with was, I guess, sort of a version of the Q build, though I didn't take Holy Shock. We went with Silver Touch, Holy Fire, Armor of Faith, Divine Shield, Blessed Champion, Beacon of Light, Redemption. Not a go-to standard meta build for Uther these days. It was just kind of a fun Q build I came up with, where I think at times Uther can try to get the job done if you do take him. There's always that, like, whenever I have to choose a healer to play, like in ranked play and such, where I always can be able to sort of default to Uther if I have to, because I've played him so much. But in the current state of the game, he struggles very much to keep up with healing against all the damage that the roster has these days, especially all the burst damage. If he can time it really well, where he gives you armor before that damage is applied, then he can be... Then a really good Uther can do a lot of great things. But if he's a bit too late and is trying to heal you after, but the burst damage has already killed you, then that's where the problems come into play. So, I want to say he's in an okay position in the game right now, but really, considering all the damage in the game these days, it's very difficult for Uther to keep up compared to other healers in the game, such as Lucio, Morales, Malfurion, Lili, Deckard Cain, Brightwing, Ariel with the right teammates, Stukov, Alex Straza, Ana with, if you want to talk about skill shot healing, Ana obviously is going to completely annihilate Uther because of how quick she can, it's like a 2-second cooldown with her primary skill shot heal compared to Uther, which is still a 12-second cooldown. So his cooldowns and his mana costs are a big reason why he's held back from being amongst some of the top healers in the game. And I think right now he is in a very unfavorable spot amongst the rest of the healers in the game, which for me is very sad because he and I have a very long history together. So that actually makes him the last support we're going to be looking at in this playthrough now, because he is the last one alphabetically. Up next, a character that I have not played that much, who I have included in that group of characters who seem to only show up in quick match to make the experiences of other players on the enemy team a horrible, miserable experience. The player killer, Valeera. Stay tuned.